Hello and welcome to another edition of Daytime Today. I'm James Lott Jr. I am the JLJ of JLJ Media. Well, there's a few others here too, but I am James Lott Jr. and I'm here to talk to someone who is somebody who's not knows daytime. Seriously, worked on. We're going to talk about her credits in depth a little more, but Another World, Azra Returns, The City, Port Charles. Now I want to say you're in the Restless too. Is that one of them too?
Yes, that
That's
was my
what I
last
say.
show.
Yes, and she's an Emmy winner. Okay, kids, she has an Emmy. I don't have one yet, but she got one, and so we're happy for her to have one. And I'm glad she doesn't do a lot of interviews because I've been interviewing more writers these days because if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage, and I want to always talk to them more about that anyway. So I'm very happy to have. Thanks to my girl and your girl out there, Candace Mack. I want to thank for this introduction, Lynn Martin. Hi, Lynn.
I
And then he like, hi, like, hi. How are you? With that beautiful smile. How are you?
I'm I'm doing well. I'm very nervous, but I'm happy to be here.
Yes. Well, happy Black History Month because we're both black.
Happy Black History Month to you too.
Even though Black history is history. So make sure I say that out loud. It's history, it's everybody's history, so to speak. And we have great contributions. So I'm glad to talk to you, another Black soap writer. I've talked to Susan Banks, who I love, and Susan Banks the bomb. She's on The Young and the Restless, and she's the bomb. So I'm happy to let people know there are Black writers. They're there. We're there. They're there. They're
There are a
there.
few of us.
There are a few of you, but you guys are out there. So welcome to the show. Um, I'm going to start off with the big question is, so you have, let's see, one, two, how many Emmys do you have? I'm reading
How
on here.
many Emmy?
Emmys, yeah,
6.
six.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm like, that's amazing. First one, congratulations. But I'm just like, let's go to the first one, just because you went into writing. Like when you go into writing, we know there's awards and things that could possibly happen, but like you're there to write. You're there to write. So
Right.
when you got the nomination, when the team got the nomination for the Emmy, the year you won the first time, which I was assuming, I think it is you won the first time in 2001, so over 20 years ago, almost 30 years ago. 20 years ago, 20 some
It
years.
feels like yesterday.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like I say, how did that feel for you? Because you're on a writing team, you guys get nominated. You're like, oh, okay. So how's that feel?
Um it was unbelievable actually because I had been nominated. I had been part of nominated teams before at Another World, and it was a great night for a party. That's all the Emmys really were. Until we got the award. But just being nominated was fabulous because I was with an amazing team of writers. We had Hogan Sheffer, um, Judy Donato. I don't want to name all the people because I'm going to forget somebody. Judy Tate, Susan Dansby, Jean Passanante. These women are all fire. I mean, the most talented women. And it was the first time I had been on a team where I could look around at everyone and say, these are my friends, and my friends are really good. And we all looked out for each other. And Hogan was such uh, an amazing head writer. He had never had a team of writers before. He came from film. Um, so he didn't know what he couldn't do. So he did everything. He just, he would get us all together and take us out to dinner, which we never did. We wouldn't, I had spent 10 years writing with people whose faces I never saw unless we were at an award ceremony. But Hogan made it all okay. He made us all feel loved and appreciated and like we were all talented. So it didn't feel like that kind of gutter snipey feel you can get at some shows or you could get at some shows. So when we won and we were all on that stage together, it felt like it was my family winning. We were all there for each other. We loved each other. We loved the show. We loved the actors. We loved Hogan and the way that he was telling the story. It happened a few more times, but only,
Yeah, it did. Yes, it did. Yes.
yeah, but I haven't had that experience again. It was Hogan. He brought us all together and
For me, Hogan Schaefer for daytime, because I was a huge Douglas Marlin fan. I was a huge drug
Mhm.
fan, which was before your time, before you got on there,
Yeah.
and he was just the way he told story, the way he built families, the way he took chances. I felt Hogan Schaefer was the same. Uh,
Yeah.
I felt he really came in, and because I had known he hadn't had a soap, it wasn't a soap background, which I felt like
Right.
this is one of the few cases where it worked.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because people would come in and go, "I want to do all this stuff." You're like, "Well, that's not really what we do here." Like, like, but he came in, and it was still soapy. It was still
Right.
soap-esque and soap adjacent and all the different things. But I always thought he was. So it's good to hear that he was that nice and that attentive.
Oh
And
my God. I can't tell you how nice he was. We still talk about him when we get together. He was just the most welcoming and loving person. I mean, not only was he a fabulously talented writer, I mean, because let's not forget, what was that movie he did, Galaxy Quest?
yes, which is one of
Um,
my favorites of
oh my
all time.
God, it was
Yes.
just so good. And My Dog Skip, he did that. He came in and doctored it. He was so good, and he made us feel like we were just as good as he was. You know, it was, and
Well,
there were few writers of color there, and we never felt like, okay, there can only be one of us here. Which, you can get that feeling sometimes, like I'm their token, so that's why I'm here. No, we were there because we were good, and he liked us.
well, it seems like because we'll tell some of the stories about that time period, but it did seem like he wanted to give the audience a full experience. And I think, and it was a varied experience. And I think, when hearing it, because like Galaxy Quest was very funny and silly and clever. It was, and the dial, everything was very clever. And I felt, as I
Yes.
said, that's why I liked his writing. There was some clever stuff in there, and
Yes.
enemies that made sense, and friends that
Yeah.
made sense, and couplings that
Yeah.
made sense, right?
Yes. Yeah. And he wasn't afraid to be funny because on a show that I was writing, I won't name, we were recently given the note of don't be funny, don't be clever, which to me means, oh, you don't want to engage your audience. And I, maybe I'm speaking too much, but the audience is smart. The audience is smarter than we are.
Yeah.
So let's try to keep up with them. That's how I wanted to do it. But
You just gained
I,
probably about 1,000 new people now, just by saying that. Seriously, no. I always tell my fans, but they're smart. They're not dumb, and
yeah,
they will support you. Give them stuff that's don't gaslight them. Don't play down to them. Like they will. Yeah.
absolutely. Because I would look at the fan stuff to figure out, okay, well, this is landing right, and this is not landing, and they're not getting this, and let me add this. And I feel like sometimes you get into that ivory tower when you're writing, and you're just like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm doing, and this is the story. But you're also trying to engage an audience, and it's usually an audience that's doing something else, or they have something better to do. Make it exciting. Make it as exciting as you can do. Make it funny. Make them see the layers. And yeah.
Well, one of my favorite people, and I'll be interviewing her later this week again, Martha Byrne. At that
Oh,
time period, that's my girl. I love her. I'm going to be talking to her later this week. One of the characters at that time period was Rose.
yeah. Oh,
Love
God.
Rose.
Rose. Oh, I forgot. Oh my God. That was such a brilliant turn. That was such a brilliant turn. I loved it. And
Mhm.
she was so good at it. I never got a chance to meet her, but please give her all of my
I'll tell her.
love. I loved writing for her. She was
I'll tell
so
her.
talented.
No, Martha, who's been around since she was a child actor, first of all, and so she's been around for
Yeah.
a long time. I got a chance to ask her all those questions. I got a chance to. I've met her in person. I've talked to her a lot. We were building a friendship, and it's been one wonderful. I was like, no, you don't understand. Lily and Rose. I mean, and you guys were in the same scenes together. Sometimes, like
Yeah.
and they were two distinct characters.
Yes. It was so well done. It was so well done. And then she had a little friend. I can't remember who her friend
Mitzi.
was.
Her name was
But
Mitzi.
yes. Oh my God. She was so good. She
Yeah, she
felt
was
like she
good
was
too.
totally just straight out of a 1940s movie.
Yes. Yes.
I loved her.
That was great. So okay, so I want to ask, okay, so for the folks at home, because we like to get into the weeds a little bit, because there are head writers, and then I don't know if every show's the same. You could please correct me. There are also breakdown writers in some shows, and then there's the script writers, correct? Do I have that family tree correct for you in your experience?
Historically, that was the setup.
Okay,
Um,
historically, well, so tell me what's going on. Like, so in your experience, how's it broken down, and what were you at various times? Like, I mean, please explain it.
I started out in a program at ABC. I actually started out as a playwright. I was writing for the stage.
Oh,
And then I had a friend, Shelby Jiggets, who works for Disney now, but she was working at the Public Theater. And she said, "Do you want to learn how to write soap operas?" And I was like, "Sure."
yeah.
And so she gathered a lot of writers of color. One of us who has now gone on to win 2 Pulitzer Prizes, but she gathered all of us and we did a series of classes taught by Jean Passanante and Millie Taggart.
Oh, great
Uh,
names. Oh my
oh
God.
my God. And oh my God, I'm going to forget her name. She was the best. Kate Hall's mom.
Oh, I might blank out her name.
Courtney.
Yes, Garden. Yes,
Courtney Simon. Sorry.
that's right. Yeah,
Sorry,
she's
Courtney.
another legend. Another legend.
Yes. Beautiful, strong women. So
Yes,
powerful.
yes.
Um, so I started out there and then I got hired as a script writer and then like at Another World and World Turns, I did some weeks in the room to learn how to write the outlines. Um, but I love writing dialogue.
Okay.
I love words. But recently, some of the shows have gotten rid of their outline writers, which
But who does it then? The breakdown writer? I mean, who does it? Can you not give away too much? Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, wait. I'm just curious. I was curious because I mean, I want people to know that people go like soap opera, like writing is easiest. I mean, no, there's a whole hierarchy. There's a whole way to do a show.
yeah,
I'm just curious
yeah.
how that. I mean, it's just they just don't.
I don't, you know, I honestly don't know how it happens at this point.
Oh, okay.
The head writer writes, and then there there used to be 5 people at the show where I was last writing who
Yeah,
were doing outlines, and now I think it's 2 people.
yeah.
And then the script writers get less information from which to write. But yeah,
It's interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it makes life interesting.
So yeah, no, with
But
yes.
and also there's a whole tier of writers who were wiped off the map. They just don't exist anymore and they will never exist again. And I think that's unfortunate. And then, you know, that happened and then it was followed by the writer strike. And it just feels like some of us are getting the reminder of writing doesn't matter. What you're doing doesn't matter and it's not important. But we just came out of COVID where everybody was rushing to watch things and
Yes.
experience things, and those come from writers. So it's it's been hard, you know, and you know, not to put too fine a print on it, but it's also Black History Month, and I'm from people who were taught you can't write, you can't read, you shouldn't do this. This is bad. So writing for me is, you know, an expression of my freedom and my creativity, and it's what I love to do. So when someone tells me you can't do it or you're not doing it the way you want to do it, I want to fight. So
Well, you're
because
on the right
it's the
show.
thing.
You're on the right show, and you are with the right person because my fans know I speak out on everything. I just do, and I do it whether it's a detriment to my career or not. I speak out on everything.
You
Um,
know, and so do I, and it's awful. I overshare, I overtalk, and then I'm like, why don't I have a job? Why don't I have friends? And I'm like, because I'm telling too much of what's in my heart, you know?
Yes. I don't, trust me. I've had the ire of people, but I still feel like truth will out, and you
Yeah,
will get jobs. I mean, it's just going to be a little tougher sometimes. But there's jobs I know I didn't get because I'm my big ass mouth, my big black mouth.
right.
Talk about it.
Right. I
So
know. To have a mouth and open it and be black, that is the worst.
yes,
You know, it's like that poem to make a poet black and make him sing.
that's
No, that's too much.
because what what Lynn is saying, and what all my fans, what I'm always saying is that again, we're here for the audience. And everything starts from, I said it earlier, it was not on a page, it's not on this, it starts with the writing. Somehow it's backwards.
Yeah.
And the writers, we saw the
It,
writers like, screw the writers. Why? You just go get another job or something going, but all your
yeah.
entertainment starts from somebody who written something.
Right.
You can't screw the writers. That's the whole point. We're trying to unscrew the writers. That's kind of the point of the strike.
I know. I know. The strike was hard because a lot of us came back and got fired
No,
and were and then replaced with people who wrote during the strike. And I don't know if a lot of the audience knows that.
some do.
Um, but it was humiliating. Um, especially, you know, and I love the Writers Guild. They give me my insurance and my pension, but they were like, yeah, they go on strike and they can't fire you when you get back. And we went back and they were like, you know what, your contract is up because our contracts go in 13 weeks. Every 13 weeks,
Right.
our necks are on the chopping block. And if somebody has a friend that they want to hire, or they're mad because you put the comma in the wrong place, or you didn't reply all in an email, you never know why. They always have the same reason. We're just going in a different direction. They're going in the same damn direction you've always gone in. See, there I go.
I
But
love, I love, yes.
it's exhausting because I'm, you know, we are all the same people we were before who were talented and wonderful, and you wanted us back, and then it's like, well, you know what?
I know.
No.
It's hard to stand up against or question, I call long money.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just
Absolutely.
it's as in every profession, basically. I'm saying it's every profession, basically, but especially in TV, especially in soap television. There's only 4 soaps left,
Right.
and we know certain people that have like a Victoria Rao or whatever who have spoke out, and you don't see them on any soaps any day. I mean, it's like there's people that get blackballed from it because they speak out on certain things that it's not even about specialness. It's like just like it's inclusiveness. It's all it is. It's the like I say, you just want to write. You just want to write.
Yeah. Yes.
We want
And I,
soaps. We want to write it for a
I
soap.
and I think that the audience for soaps looks like me.
They do.
So why are more people who look like me writing the soaps, producing the soaps, head writing the soaps? I don't understand it. I mean, I love everyone for whom I have worked.
Of course,
I
right.
say that, very talented people, but they're very talented writers who are writers of color who will never get the chance to rise up. And so my thing to everybody who is listening and watching, who, if you're a woman or a person of color, become a producer. um don't get into writing. You can't fix anything by writing. Produce it. Come up with ideas of your own, because I think the system chews us up and spits us out and thinks we're replaceable, and we're not. Everybody's so different.
Well, here's what's funny, as you know. I mean, you may or may not know. I write, co-write, produce, co-direct audio dramas.
Why haven't you hired me?
I wish I know. I know something. Now I'm like, I didn't know. I didn't know you. I had no connection to you. I didn't know you. I know who you. I heard your name. I knew who you were. I didn't know you. Well, we'll talk. We'll keep everything. But here's the thing. I almost took your advice like before knowing you. It was like we're gonna do it ourselves. I pitched a few people. Nah, nah, nah. Not gonna work. Not gonna work. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? I have 18 audio dramas currently on air.
Unbelievable, but totally believable because I mean, the world is full of people who are going to tell you no.
Yeah. And it's just or go, we're gonna go, we just chose we're gonna go with this person. And I hate to say when I see it and it's a non-black person or not or so whatever, or it's always for you guys, always male. They go for them first. And we'll produce this
Yeah,
little mediocre project. I'll say it, mediocre project that's not gonna change the world in any way, shape, or form.
yeah,
Promote it, push it out there, do all this stuff. Meanwhile, I have this thing right here that's going to change the world. I feel like it's here. We're a group of folks. We're all by castings diverse. We're all everything's. It's just matter if we think it's good, and they're like,
hmm
yeah, well, we don't know. And are you sure a story about dropping three? My first success was Forever and a Day, which of course that was my first success with Candace and all them.
oh,
And then
yes,
when they moved on, we won major awards for it. So I mean, I'll tell you, they did something.
right,
Then after that, my first one that I wrote was it's called Mistletoe Road, and it was three spoken word artists from Los Angeles that wake up
wow,
in a Hallmark movie. Basically, that was my premise. And we're on season almost 4, and it's done very successful. I mean, it's like, isn't that funny? So I literally have
I
Santa
love it.
Claus and I was doing that, and they're like, "Why are we here?" And I did an episode I'm very proud of that got a lot of attention because one of the lead characters is black. He plays
Okay,
Darrell, and of so it's a white guy, Latina woman, black man. All they've been friends for years, whatever. They get transported somehow. We don't know yet how it got there yet. We're working on that this next season. Um, but they get landed, and it turns out the black guy is the most comfortable in Christmas City because and we had a whole episode. We did a whole special episode where they don't look at him for his color because everybody's happy and just happy to be there, and it's a diverse place. He's like, no one's checking for me. I can walk at nighttime. I can walk at daytime. He's admiring. He loves the reindeer. It's his whole thing with the reindeers. Like I've just never seen from the hood. I've never seen it. Like they're magical to him. Like everyone likes him. They have good food. Like for some reason, he's like, I have no reason to want to go back home because I go back home. Anybody said, but it all stemmed in my writing. I wrote it. It was in my writing. I was writing my experience as a black man. Like, wow, what if I went to one of the happiest places on earth? And I'm like, let's turn on its head and go, why do I go back to Los Angeles? Where I mean, he talks about
yeah,
being stopped by the police, having people look at him weird, clutching their purses. And people, I mean, I had black men crying, calling me crying. Like I heard the episode, I'm like, what the fuck? And I was like,
wow,
but that's what writing's up. Like we're saying, we have stories to contribute that probably a lot of folks could relate to. And
yeah,
soaps need to remember that's how he started. Soaps were started
right,
by women, and they were doing social justice stories. They were doing
yeah,
somehow we veered from that. And I think so. So just to say, I took it to another medium. It's successful. I was working that way, but I was told no by so many people.
fabulous,
Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what
yeah,
are you doing? But it's like
yeah,
take a chance on our writers, our female writers, our writers of color, our queer writers, all that they all watch soaps. The audience,
exactly.
not just one type of people. They all watch soaps. So let's. I don't know what to do at this point about that. I don't know what. Like you said, I agree with you. Just become producers so you can make decisions. I guess that's the answer, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just it makes me mad because I mean, back in the day when you were working on soaps, back in the day, there's like 13 soap operas on the air.
Right, I know. It was so exciting. It was such a different time.
Was
And there were not that many writers of color. There was Michelle Patrick and Michelle Valjean.
That's my girl. Yeah, let me show Jean. Yes, I
I'm
love.
dying to meet her. I still haven't met her.
We met her.
There's
Oh,
just
she's
they keep all of us so separate.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um
yeah, 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 yeah.
and you know, now there's Judy Tate. There was Royal Miller, which I think he was probably the last black man writing soaps, but that was back during the city. Um, yeah, it's the audience hasn't changed, um, but I think the people who are putting it on air haven't changed either. I think there just need to be more people of color. who are, but soaps are going to die before we get up there.
Yeah, no,
So,
yeah.
and I
I,
hate saying that. It's been a long, slow, drawn out thing. It's all going to go to streaming, but
Days did it already. Days
every
Lives did it already. They're on streaming already.
yeah, yeah.
I'll give
But
a
it
shout out. I want to before you talk, I want to give one shout out to Jamie Giddens, who did write on Days recently, and now he's with Tyler Perry doing Sisters. But they hired him. He had ambitions that didn't last more than one. It did one season with
right.
Robin Givens, but they hired him on Days to do either Beyond Salem or Days, one or two. He was there for a little bit. They let him go, and now Tyler picked him up to do some stuff at Sisters.
Wow.
Which their soap operas also on. They may call themselves soaps, but they're soap.
Right. Everything that comes on at night that has a steady cast
Hello,
is a soap.
hello, basically.
They,
But back to the soap thing. I want to mention the city.
yeah,
No, no, I love this. Is all good. No, the fans are gonna love this. You guys they're gonna love this. Back to the city because I did do. I did, folks says I did episode in the city, and I'm gonna send her the episode so she can hear it. But you were on there. You're in the city because the city was born out of loving,
yeah.
and the city was trying to be hip and with it, which I know I appreciated so much. And you get to have we had Darnell Williams and we had we had Debbie Morgan. For a
Yes.
while there, we had Jane Elliott, we had Tracy over there.
Yeah.
Also, so I mean, so what you were a script writer there. So what were some of your favorite memories about the city?
Wow. The city was hard. I liked how fresh it felt because I grew up watching all the ABC soaps. So it was just exciting to be there. But I loved the guy, Randy Mantooth.
Oh yeah, yes, we love him. Yeah.
I had such a crush on him. So it was so wonderful writing for him. And oh my God, I'm going to forget his name. What was his name? He looked like a rock star and he had a beard and he was married to the woman who ended up marrying Royal Miller. Oh my God. I wish you had told me you were going to quiz me on this.
I'm sorry. I was
But
just. I was going to say. I was just say. Just. I mean, just you had some nice time on City. I don't remember.
yeah, no, I really enjoyed the city. It felt like New York, and I live in New York, so it felt very. It wasn't long enough. I wanted to write there long enough, um, but I also felt like it was before its time. Like it just wasn't going to catch on the way that it was shot.
I agree. I always felt the city and Generations were before their time.
Yeah,
Both soaps. They came out. They had a fresh idea. The audience was either not ready or the network wasn't ready or something was off. It just wasn't.
yeah,
But now we see those things all in
exactly everywhere.
everywhere. So I was like, but I thought I thought it was a clever idea to close out Loving with all the murders and then go in. There's some great work
Yeah,
done. There was some great work done towards the end, and then
yeah.
sliding into this new. And I have a couple of friends who said that was their first soap was the city because it was a
Oh,
fresher. They were younger than me. They're this fresher thing. I go, no, I
yeah,
can see why. No, I can see why. It was marketed that way. It was marketed like this. Come to the city. Come see. Let's
yeah,
what's going on. It was a lot of fun.
yeah, yeah.
That's why you're there. Was your script writer there? When you are part of the group, um, I'm assuming the shows you were on, you rotated who you wrote for, character wise, or were you given certain people? These are whenever you got a script, those are the ones you're writing for.
Yeah, no. You're just given a day
Okay.
and you hope that it's a day with people that you love. Because each one of us has a different, it's like an orchestra. Everybody's playing a different instrument, and you're just trying to make sure that your instrument is playing at the same, rhythm and tone as everyone else's. So, if you have an editor at the show, they usually know, oh, well, she's really good at writing Phyllis, or he's really good at writing, whomever. And if that character is heavy in that day, you'll get the day. Or if, like, Janice, who was at Young and the Restless, She was there for like 35 years. She was really good at parties. So they would give her parties and weddings and things like that. Or if a character has to look back into their past, she had a lot of that just in her core because she had been at the show for so long. But I was happy because sometimes I would get like the Black characters.
I was going to
And
ask you.
although I could write for
Yeah,
everyone
everybody, right?
because I'm trained to write for everyone,
Yeah,
um, I loved protecting my people,
I understand that.
you know, and I wanted to make them sound like I hear people, like, you know, and I'm not sure that the people who were taking care of the words were as, there's, you shouldn't sound, everybody shouldn't sound alike. There, I think that also a lot of people of color code switch. So, you'll sound one way in front of the rich family and another way in front of your siblings. And I just wanted to be on top of that. And I
I
enjoyed
agree
doing
with
that.
that. There's a year or so ago on General Hospital, there's a Black family on it, the Ashfords, and one of the girls, Trina, was on trial, and
Hmm.
her mother and the aunts were in the home discussing it, and they were
Hmm.
talking about the injustice that might happen because she's Black. I was so funny. I was like, see, it's little stuff like that. I don't know who wrote it, that episode. I didn't look and see who wrote that episode or those scenes, but I was just like, see, that's what I want to see. And because a lot of white folks got mad, why did bring it up rated, the usual crap. But all the Black viewers were like, but that's a conversation two Black women would have about a Black woman on trial. Like they would, that's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
What you're
Yeah.
saying is what I like that. You say you wanted to bring that to the screen.
Yeah. There were so many missed opportunities at shows. And I was, and that's why it was so good to have other writers of color working with me because I could have conversations with them without making apologies or making, like having that other conversation before you have the conversation of, oh my God, why aren't they talking about the fact that this Black baby is being raised in this white family? Something like that. Because sure, it's happening. Let it happen, but let's talk about it. Let's discuss the ramifications of it because it's important and it happens in life. Families adopt outside of their race, women have babies who don't look like them. Let's talk about what that feels like, what it means, how it looks like to the world. It's important.
And I can
I
tell
don't
you,
know.
I can tell you, I'm gonna tell you this, Lynn. I've interviewed, God, probably over 200 soap actors at this point in my career. And the ones of color, and I'm talking like Asian, Latino, and Black, and and actually a couple of Native American ones. Um, I can tell you from the interviews I did with them, they would appreciate more stuff like that in their scripts for their characters. I'm talking folks like Tanya Pinkins, who was on All My Children, to Jordi Villasuso, who was on several shows. Like I've talked to them
Oh,
about it.
I love
I
them.
love Jordi's the bomb. And I don't know about you, but I only get better with age. I'm like, he's just aging. Like I've known him for like 8 years. I'm like, why are you just I mean, what's going on there? But no, I know I'm also crazy that way too, my fans know. But the whole point is kind of like from hearing that they were saying there were times their character would do something, they go, wait a minute, if they added this one thing, it would have felt more authentic to them acting it.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
saying, so I want to tell you, somebody who said you were thinking the other side of it. I can tell you, I've done so many shows on this. They would have appreciated it more.
Yeah, and I feel like if you have something that resonates with a character and it resonates with the actor, it's sure going to resonate with the audience, because somebody out there is feeling what you're feeling. If it's a genuine feeling, say it. And I think that sometimes maybe networks, I don't know if it's I don't know who it is. People get afraid or they think, well, we can't tell it that way. Guess what? Your audience is Black and Latino and, they're at home and they want to be engaged and they want to feel like they're being seen. We all want to know that we are seen. I'll never forget when I got my first Black doll. It was a big moment, and I don't think that, yeah, I went to Disney a couple of years ago and I saw Black Santa. It made a difference. I screamed. I was joyous. You want to see yourself and know that people see you on the planet and know that your experience may not be identical to other people's, but it has value. It might help you engage with another part of the world more, because it's all about stories and our stories are all different and we learn from each other's stories.
It's funny you say that. I went to a Rolling Stone concert back in '89, Steel Wheels tour, and I know who the opening act was because they had rotating people who would come in, and the opening act was Living Color. And I know that they had
Um,
one song, whatever, but I tell you, when they opened, being a Black person watching a Black rock band, an apologetically Black rock band on stage for this mostly white audience, I
yeah,
felt seen. And I'm just one little dot in the middle of 90,000 people or whatever. And they rocked it. Everybody loved it. They were great. But it was just kind of like there was something about that being in that arena with the Rolling Stones, who always appreciate Black. They love Black folks and they appreciate all that. That's a different story.
right.
But just being in a place where they were being showcased as just a rate. They didn't say, here's Black act. They just said
Yes,
living color. And it was like, wow.
yes,
So who knows
yes,
who else was there who was Black, who had kids were younger than me, like going, oh my God. Like I had never seen a Black act that was rock on stage.
right. I know. And yeah,
I know.
it's hard. It's hard. I guess it was harder earlier, but just wanting to be yourself in the world and not having to be one color. And that's what I love about writing. I can be everybody. I can be anything. I can change, at will. So when someone tells me, okay, don't write, or you're not writing here anymore, or, don't be funny, I'm just like, okay, I'll do it somewhere else.
Yes, because that's I guess the whole point. A writer, their toolbox, if you're a good writer, imaginative writer, your toolbox is filled with stuff. And that's no
Yeah.
matter what race you are, what gender you are, it doesn't even matter. It's in there. And so,
Yeah.
but who you are, I feel who you are enhances that experience as
Absolutely. Yeah.
so we do need more people of color in these rooms,
Yeah.
on shows that are not just Black, but on just on
Yes.
shows that are good.
Yeah.
And I'll give Shonda some credit. Shonda Rhimes was one of those who just like said, I'm gonna do bring everybody together. I don't care what they are, I'm gonna do it. And I well, are there any other writers out there you actually admire? Black or white, as anybody, I mean, besides, like we say, our soap writers, but other writers outside of that, are there any writers you admire? Any of their work? Or do you have time to
Oh
even
my
their work? Or
There's so many. I mean, where do I start? I I am privileged though to be friends with the person that I was referring to earlier who had gotten 2 Pulitzer Prizes. And her name is Lynn Nottage. And I've known her since before she stopped her day job and before I stopped writing for theater. She is fabulously talented and one of the nicest people on the planet. And I love her. And then they're just, big name people. But writing at soaps, you're at home all day, all alone, doing nothing but writing. So I rarely come out of my hole to do anything else. But I am privileged enough to be writing at a different show right now. I don't know if I can mention the name.
or
Because
either?
I haven't even signed anything, but I wrote a couple of scripts.
Well, then
Um,
tell me off camera, and
okay.
put it off camera. And tell me off camera.
But I'm very happy to be there. It's a very diverse cast. Um, the person who's executive producing is a person of color, and I'm happy.
Back in the day, did you ever go to West 66?
You mean was I ever in
In
there?
the building.
Oh,
I've been
I,
there. I mean,
I
were you ever there? I'm like, 'cause, oh, that's where everything was. I mean, that's where ABC. That's where it is.
I know. I was there a few times, not very often, but I do remember being in that strike in 2007, I think. And I had had my first child, so she was on my back, and we're striking in front of that building. I liked
Folks, it
it.
was an iconic place. Um,
Yeah.
Cute areas. Like lots of, I remember lots of trees and all the tall, the apartment buildings right there. But I just remember it was West 66. That's where
Yeah.
my children was. The view, all this, they were all there. They were all ABC was.
Yes.
It's
I
gone now.
miss it.
I miss it too.
I know.
I miss it. I do miss it. I do. Wait, what part of New York are you in? I gotta see which borough are you in?
I'm in Manhattan.
You're in
I'm
Manhattan. Okay.
on the Upper West Side near Columbia. I went to Columbia for my master's degree, and I never moved. So,
My mother is from Spanish Harlem, so on one
oh,
101st in Lexington.
oh,
Yes,
okay.
over there. And but then her father, they're from Brooklyn. So
Oh,
Prospect Park,
yeah.
Farmington Parkway. I mean that whole. So I grew up on going on both sides. Which back then
Nice.
you didn't go both sides, like you stayed in your borough. That was it. But I used to go to both sides. I remember when taxis didn't go to Brooklyn. They're not going to go to Brooklyn. So I remember
And
that.
then there used to be that big studio out in Brooklyn.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's gone too. That's
JS
all.
Studios. Oh,
I
yeah,
know.
they would send a limousine in the morning to pick us up. Well, this is when people were writing outlines. They would send a limo, we'd go all the way out there, and I was like, oh my God, this is swanky.
I know they don't do that anymore.
No.
But budgets are different these days. But at the same time, let's talk about that for a little bit because you were on shows that were hits and they're working out. Oh, before we go to that, Port Charles, kids, Port Charles. I
Um,
don't you don't understand. Is your hospital still out there? Port Charles gets great mentions. And I was saying the other day, when years later on General Hospital, they brought John McBain from One Life to Live. My guy, Michael Easton. Now, of
okay,
course, he was on Port Charles
yeah.
as a vampire. So I like Clay. So I'm like, and so he did a whole thing on that. Lucy was like with Lynn Herring was on his whole thing.
Oh
And I
gosh,
was
yeah.
like, but it should remind me how much I enjoy Port Charles. So you were on there for a year. Were you on there when they started doing the kind of telenovela style where it was like I think it was like every there's chapters, or were you on there before that? I can remember when you were on there.
I was there at the very beginning.
Okay.
It was, I remember sitting in on a story meeting where they were talking about using a hand drill to go into someone's skull because they were having an aneurysm or something. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to have to know medical facts for this show. But it was really exciting. It was like the young part of General Hospital. And yeah, I liked it. I
So,
liked
I mean,
that.
that's a follow. That's a following. I mean, that's the thing. It's because people forget GH had GH night shift was at nighttime, and they had Port Charles. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
bunch of spinoffs
Yeah.
that were people liked it. They didn't last very long. They liked them.
Yeah.
I liked Port Charles. I did. I also just mentioned Another World again. Love Another World. It's an iconic show. Uh,
Yeah.
with Another World, as well, so well, yes, they were all New York based shows.
Yeah.
Funny as that. Um, but you've worked on West Coast shows too, obviously. Was there a difference? I don't know, and feeling New York soaps versus LA.
Absolutely. I felt connected to the shows when they were in New York. I felt like, I could take a cab and go see any part of the writing team or, visit the soundstage or any of that. It was available and I felt alive, like they knew who I was and I mattered. When I started writing for Y&R, and they've always been out in LA, but I never saw anybody's face. I think I met um, Sarah Ensley
Oh yeah.
after she left the show when we had dinner a few weeks ago. It was the first time I'd laid eyes on her.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, and we'd written together for 5 years. So yeah, and I met Brent Boyd.
Oh
He
yeah.
was he's such a good writer.
Yeah.
He's just fabulously talented. Um, yeah, I feel really removed. And I also feel like they thought I was removable. So,
You're
they
one
don't
of the ones
see
got
me on the
swept.
market.
You're one of the ones got swept out. Sarah Bible,
Yeah,
I guess all got swept out. Oh, we know. I know.
easy to get
Fans
rid
know. The
of.
fans know.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not. This is not no secret show or nothing. The fans know what happened.
Okay, good.
Oh no,
Oh,
trust me. There are a lot of folks who are not fans of. He should not be named right now. But
okay.
oh no, we know. Oh no, fans know. This is not a secret at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me just let you know that's fine. My fans are sophisticated. They know what's going on. Don't worry about that.
Okay, good.
Um,
Because I do tend to overshare and I,
yeah.
I
Oh no, you
shouldn't,
know.
but
Oh no. But
I'm biting my tongue.
yeah, my tongue's forked. Okay, here's the deal. I want to. No, I actually want to ask something that's actually kind of serious in terms of going back into the weeds of things again. Because whoever I co-write with on some of my projects, may not be in the same room either, but we see each other on Zoom or we have a phone call, whatever. So when you don't see your co-writers, how do you do that? I mean, I guess you do it. I mean, I guess you write, but literally, it's just kind of like, okay, I have my breakdown for the day. I know what I'm supposed to write, so I just put my head down and write it. I mean, just that's it. I mean,
Um, it's different now, I think. I think sometimes people write scared. So when you're writing scared, you do just keep your head down. And that's what I heard the most writing soaps. Just keep your head down. Because if you look up, people are going to realize you're questioning things or maybe you're confused about something and you're easily removed. Um, I, on this new show that I'm working on, I reach out to my other writers and I'm like, what are you doing? Or how does this sound to you? Or, I think when people are not afraid, they feel more freedom and you don't scream at people and you don't tell them no. You're you can listen. You can take a pause. You can listen to somebody else's ideas and realize that other people you're writing for can be creative and it's a good thing because it's supposed to be a collaborative
right,
thing.
right,
We're all supposed to be in it together. That's why it's a team. And this new guy, this new executive producer for whom I'm writing, he's every time he talks to us, is like, "Hey, team." And first I was like, "Oh, huh." And now I'm like, "Yeah, we're a team. We're doing this together." So yeah, usually it's just like keep your head down, don't ask any questions, don't look up to your right or your left. Just do the job. But I think that then it can't breathe.
right. That's something I'm like.
But then again, I'm
Well,
off
you
network TV.
well, yeah, and also, but you're also, I mean, you're a trained professional, and you're like, if I got to write this in this style, then they're gonna pay me. We're gonna write in this style. They're gonna pay me. I mean, I guess that's.
Exactly.
But I mean, like you have to go with the flow. I guess a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's say it that way.
Yeah.
With the flow.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
shut up.
And shut up.
Yeah.
That. I actually want to ask you. I want to do something totally different. I want to ask you because I am currently writing my first play. Um,
Oh.
I am. I come from doing stage as an actor and stuff, and sing.
Oh, okay.
I've done like that 100,000 years ago. But I've always had a dream, and I've been writing it little by little. But you said you were a playwright,
Yeah.
and theater stuff. What piece of advice you would give me without knowing what I'm writing and all like just piece of general advice you give me in relation to playwriting?
Keep the cast small.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Now
Make
my
it as
cast,
cheap.
right now my cast is 5 people.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
That's
pretty
many.
small.
Okay.
No, that's good because when you start getting up, it starts costing more, and nobody wants to look at it.
Yeah.
Um, Show it, don't say it.
Hmm.
That's a huge one.
Well, I'm writing that down. Shit. Hey, no, I know. Seriously, I take advice, man. I don't care. Show it, don't.
No, it's
Explain that a little more for some folks at home. Show it, don't say it.
Um, like if you have a character and they're angry about something, don't nobody says I'm angry. You go and you burn their dinner. You go cut up their clothes. You ignore the phone call. It's, you know, what that character would do that's completely unlike anyone else. Um, one of my playwriting teachers would say, everybody has a golden nugget. So it's your job to find that nugget and make it shine, make it yours. And like, if it makes sense to you, if it burns in you, you're going to find a way to make it burn in someone else. So just try to make it universal by making it specific. Like, I don't talk about, like, well, let's go walk in the park. It's, like, let's go get that tea that you love that's at that corner deli. And remember that guy who sings like a god? Let's go. You make it so specific that the audience not only can see it, but they want to go there with you and they can feel it. So, yeah.
I'll share a little something with you. I've never shared with anybody else, actually. I'll share with you. You guys can hear it at home. It's copyrighted, so you guys can't take it at home. I'm writing, so I'm writing up. I'm also by trade a professional organizer. I don't do this much as I used to, but did it for 15 years.
Wow.
I'm writing a play on a guy who he loses his wife and he needs help, and his son hires a professional organizer. And
Oh,
really the first act is all that kind of stuff. Second act is him, the organizer, mostly when in their sessions. But the opening scene that I did is almost falling into what you said about show it, don't say it. There's a stage and it's messy. It's a living room. And I have stacks of magazines and papers and stuff everywhere. And for the first scene, I want to play music and have you just see this stage. Then the character comes out, this older man, and sits in one of those old man chairs that I love so much myself. And grabs one of the magazines and starts saying, so when I've been telling you he's messy, I always feel like that kind of shows you, okay, you see a junky room, an old man, what is this? And then the sun comes. Like, there's no dialogue for the first 2 minutes or so. And then the doorbell rings and the sun comes in and then we start. That's kind of the thing I started how I wrote it. I was trying to vision it like what I would see on stage, like how you'd
yeah.
like it. I'm a very visual person. I'm one of those kind of people who likes visuals. So I was like, I can see the way it's lit already in my brain, how it's lit, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay. And then I kept thinking, well, should I have it lit as people walk in? That's something about that idea. As you walk in, it's just illuminated. You see this messy room, and it's
Yeah.
illuminated. And then if I sit, they do the whole. So I'm picturing. That's how I opened it up. That's how I was picturing. So I get to share that with you. I've never shared it with anybody else.
Well, that's fun. I like it. I like it already.
And the whole cast is black because
Oh, okay.
I am one of three. I'm one of two black male professional organizers in the world.
Whoa.
So I thought I would do it I'm gonna do a black family and then add what that adds into that, the cultural aspects of that. Not everybody in my
I
house. I'm right. It's heavy. It's some funny parts, but I'm really digging in.
Yeah, because I've had both of my parents have passed, and I have inherited things, and I'm so bad with getting rid of things because everything has a memory
Right.
attached to it, and
Right.
so much, and
Yes.
that's hard.
Oh,
I can. That's hard,
it's hard. And I actually have
but
dealt
that's
with
good.
yeah, it's good. So I'm
I'm
going through my
sorry.
own experience as an organizer, because my specialty was change of life. So widowhood, divorce, retirement, parents dying, adult children. Like that was my specialty because I love older people. I love that. I love all that stuff. I love it because a lot of things are mentos, but I'm like, there's a way to figure out what is just trash and be thrown out
Yeah,
and what
yeah,
is actually stuff you should keep as you're gonna pass on to the net. There's things.
yeah,
There's things.
yeah.
That's another show. That's another show. By the way, I just share my idea. I've not shared it ever with anybody else. So thanks, Lynn, for letting me share.
No, thank you, thank you. That's huge.
I'm gonna take your advice. So show it. So I guess I'm on the right track. Show it. Don't
Yeah,
say it. Got it.
Definitely.
Do you miss theater and all that? Do you miss it?
I do. I could because I love actors. I I'm sorry, my daughter's home.
Hi, daughter.
Penelope, Pen, can you go get the door for Zan? I'm so sorry.
It's like, this is real life, kids. She's a working mother. She's like, "Yeah, there's stuff going on."
I know, single black mom.
Okay. Love it.
Um, I'm sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, you're answering it. You're saying how much
Okay.
you love actors. We're saying how much do you miss
Oh,
working in the
yeah.
play world. I mean, that world, stage world.
I love actors. One of the first actors that I ever used at Columbia, because when I went to Columbia, we didn't have an acting program. We
Oh,
actually got to use actors from the New York City acting pool. So
wow.
I had actors who eventually went on to like uh, Law and Order and
Yeah.
all network shows. It was amazing. But one of my actors was Angela Tassinari, who became a soap director and directing all sorts of things. But I love hearing from actors how they engage with the work and what they need. And I just want to see everybody sing. I want to see everybody at their best. So I want to give them the things that they love. And I miss that because I don't, for TV, we would write a script and then 6 weeks later it's on the air. And I would write for, oh my God, I love Sharon. I love Phyllis. I love like everybody, all of those women on Y&R. I loved them. Um, and I just want it to be like, oh my God, I wrote this for you. I love you. And I did do that on Instagram a lot, but
Okay.
I miss that contact of I did this for you because I know what notes you sing in the best. I know, oh my God, what is that actress? Oh my God, I can't remember her name.
Tell
She's
me.
with Billy right now on the show. But
Listen, Claire Egan.
yeah, I
She's good. She's so good.
I love those women so much. Um, yeah, and I have a friend Leslie Kay, and
Oh yeah, I know her. Oh yeah, Emmy winner Leslie.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
we've been trying
Holly.
to work together for so long. I just you get a voice in your head, and you're like, well, that would sound really good with this, and I love actors. I love what they can do. I love how they're so willing to take insane risks and just put everything out there and do the things that I can't do. And then sometimes you give them words and you're like, I had no idea it was going to sound like that. That's so much better than what I had envisioned. So it's like this give and take, and they don't even know that they're giving to me. And I love that. I love
I'll
that
tell.
about,
Well, I'll tell you. I'm very close friends with Michelle Stafford. Uh,
oh,
Thanks, Phyllis, my very good friends, and I always say this to her. I go, when they get, she's been on my show. She's one of those real talkers too. She tells everything on the shows. I said, but I said, she has 2 Emmys, folks. She's an Emmy-winning actress and nominated many times.
yeah.
But the thing is, you can tell when someone gives her some good writing because she can do the work. She is one of
Yeah.
said Phyllis. She's one of those people. She can do the work when she gets good
Yeah.
writing. And I'm telling you, the audience notices it. They do. They do.
Yeah.
Trust me. I mean, the writers, all writers should know out there. The audience is paying attention. They're listening to every word, and they're catching things that are inconsistent. They're catching things that are clever. They're catching things that are funny. We love a good quip. We love a good wink. There's things that the scripture like that's. I remember that time there was something. Oh my god, on some show recently. Oh, it was on General Hospital. Character Carly says to the character Sonny, they've been married like 6 times or whatever. She goes, my mother never said, "I told you so" after all of our marriages. I thought that was hilarious. Like the audience know. I mean, we get like we all. I mean, like it's the inside joke that we all get. It's kind of, but
Yes.
it's like, and I think I'm just letting you know that the audience, they know. They completely appreciate it when that happens, and when you give actors who we, because we know who can act. And we know who's
Yeah.
okay. We know who's super good. We know who's good at comedy. On some shows,
Yeah.
Judith Chapman, you can give her comedy and she's hilarious, or Kevin Rickard, Greg Rickard, or whatever, or my
Oh
cousin
my God.
Christian J. LeBlanc, my cousin.
Oh
Um,
my God.
he could do drama and comedy. I mean, I guess like
Yes.
we know it too. I'm just saying, Lynn, we know it too. We know who could. I mean, as for church, you had Elizabeth Hubbard, you had
Oh my God.
Queen,
Colleen.
the Queen. Oh yeah, Colleen Zink. You had Larry Brigman.
Oh
You
my God.
had
Yeah.
all of it. So you like so us fans, we know what you got on these shows.
And there are no fans like soap fans. You all are frightening, but so reassuring. And I think you keep the actors and the writers, honest. Like this is the story. This is how it's landing. And if you don't pay attention to the audience, you're ignoring one of the huge resources that you have of making a show great.
I agree,
I don't
and
know.
that's where we'll end it. Because I can talk to you forever. That's where we're going to end it. Thank you, Lynn Martin, for being on my show.
Thank you, James. It was so wonderful. Thank you for making me feel at ease because I wanted to cry before, but thank
Crying will give me more views, but I'm glad you didn't cry. So that's good. That's good. But no, you're welcome back anytime. I mean, anytime. This was great.
you. And I can talk about my new show.
Yes, once you sign everything and stuff, yeah, come back on. We'll
Yeah.
talk about that. Sure.
Okay,
All right,
good.
ladies and gentlemen, I'm James Lott Jr. Daytime Today is on all the social media platforms. So is JLJ Media. So is James Lott Jr. Follow all three of us. It's all me, but it's all three of us. And also YouTube is JLJ Media. This show is on all the streaming service platforms you can think of, from iHeartRadio to Apple to Spotify and Deezer and Google, and I don't know if Google's leaving, whatever. They're everywhere. So check it out. Pass this interview on to anybody who think needs to see it and hear it, because we did drop some knowledge on here and some tea. But I appreciate each and every one of you, and we will talk to you next time.